Times of the week. How could you not love it when the great Sean Salisbury joins us? Good morning, Sean. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're doing great.
Awesome.
We're obviously going to talk about Niners Eagles with you, and I'm gonna leave that question to Jason. But I just real quick, Sean, I've been waiting for 72 hours somewhere in there to talk to you. Sean, you know, I bleed garnet and gold. I'm a lifelong Florida State fan. You know this.
Yep.
Am I a turncoat because I said, and I believe this, Florida State got absolutely hosed. They got absolutely screwed. There's no way around it. But after I've watched every minute of football they've played this year, I do not believe without Jordan Travis they are a top 4 team. I don't know that they're a top 10 team without Jordan Travis. So although we got screwed and I'm heartbroken for those kids, I get the decision the committee made. I'm curious as to where you come down on it, though.
I'm 100% agreement with you.
Okay.
It sucks for the kids. And in another year, next year or the year before, or in 2024 next year, it may have worked.
Sure.
Now, if you just wanted to set the criteria at, you wanted the ACC, that we're going to make it a rule, because the Pac-12 doesn't have a power conference anymore once this is over, so there'll be 4 of them next year. So if you just want to make a rule that says, hey, if you're an undefeated conference champion, you're an automatic, no matter what the optics look like, no matter what the eye test tells you, no matter if Harry Hatchetass is on your roster, okay, right. Throw into Joe Sixpack, then you're in. Listen, Jordan Travis had a great year. Mike Norvell had a great year. Yeah. I thought Stephen A. Smith made a hell of a point. I don't know if you heard it, saying that if Deion Sanders was the coach at Florida State, they may be in. And the reason why? They got more pub with 4 wins than Florida State got all year long. He wouldn't have let the spice go away. I think he's on to a little something. I do. I think that the committee would have been afraid to say no to Deion. I do.
Wow,
I think
you're right.
I'm telling you now, with the optics and the energy that he brings and what he's done, I'm telling you, it may have been different. And Stephen A. was on to something with that. And then I digress. But I'm with you. Listen, they would be, in my mind, if I was setting the line against the top 8, them and the other 7 teams, they'd be an underdog in every game. I'd take Oregon over them. I'd take Ohio State over them. I'd take Georgia over them, and they already are 14.
14, yeah.
If they really want to post their score and prove to the world, go hammer Georgia, because Georgia's pissed too, because they think they should be in it.
Yeah.
With what they do, and Kirby Smart's going to preach that. I love what Florida State did, but when you're without your starter, and is it the kid's fault? No, you're told to control what you can control, and they did. It just looked bad. Put it this way: what if Iowa was undefeated? Their starting quarterback goes out, and they beat Michigan 13-10, and they're undefeated, and yet they didn't play. They played on the wrong side. Their offense averages 13, 16 points a game. We would have been a little reluctant to put them in, even as an undefeated Big Ten champion. We would have.
Yeah.
We would have. So optics matter. And the truth is, right now, Florida State going in, and it sucks, and I'm with you, they are not one of the 4 best teams in the country. And I'm with you. I can probably name the 9th and the 10th team that may even be better. And that's not a slight on them, because I'm with them. But the other 4 teams, and including some that aren't in the finals, are just better. And it's just the way we're doing the criteria. You wanted human element, you got it. 13 of them, and most of them probably, I would doubt that there was very many who said Florida State needs to be in above Texas or Alabama. And I would have put Alabama in as well. You beat Georgia, you deserve to, the 2-time national champion. I feel bad for Florida State, but it was just the wrong year to go 13-0, and the optics and your starting quarterback to get hurt.
So, Sean, the overall 4 you mentioned, you would have put Alabama. You good with what the committee did, though, the final 4 they have?
I am. I mean, the question, it's like an all-star game, guys. You know, when somebody gets, who are we taking out? Who are you taking out? Can we really look over the last handful of, 8 weeks and say that Alabama, I'm not so sure Alabama's not going to win the whole thing, the way they're playing. Optics, I mean, I understand they lost in September, and it didn't seem like, at least going into this week, that the committee even, when they had Oregon and Ohio State ahead of them going into this week, you're like, ahead of Texas, I'm talking about, you're like, did they not even take Texas's win in September? To me, every month, every game matters. I don't care when it happened. They were number 3 in the country. Texas beat them. They belong in. And if you're looking at optics, that team right now is pretty damn good. Washington undefeated, Michigan undefeated. Of those, yes. Hell, I could have made a bigger argument for Georgia with 1 loss than Florida State undefeated without their starting quarterback. I could have. So, yeah, I think they got it right. But if you really wanted to get it right, I would put Georgia as a favorite over every single team in the top 8 if they played again. I still think Georgia's as good a team as there is in the country. So if you really want to just play the 4 best, Georgia would be in my 4 best. That being said, the way it's set up, Georgia has a little bit of an argument. Florida State has a big argument. And the other 4 belong exactly where they are, playing for a national title.
Sean, and God, I literally talked for 2 hours with you about this. You know, college football is not huge out here, so it pumps me up too. I know we got to get to Eagles Niners, but can I also add, doesn't Ohio State have a pretty good argument too, losing by 2 or 3, whatever it was, at the Big House? I'm not saying they have as good, but it's compelling how many teams have really good arguments to be in the top 4.
There is absolutely no question. This is one of those years where I could have. It's too bad we don't have 8.
Yeah,
because I'd really like to see Oregon if they're playing their best, and Ohio State if they're on. Yep. I'd love to see it, and Florida State too with the backup. I'd love to see it. And then we don't. The 9th team doesn't have a gripe. Okay, now if we get to 12, fine. But those 8, Ohio State can make the argument on the right day. They can beat any of them. It's so weird to me with this transfer portal that guys are leaving after you're the starting quarterback on an 11-1 team. I don't understand the concept. But, yes, you can make the argument. And I'll ask you this. If Florida State played Ohio State. Hello?
Yep, there we go. Hi, there you go. You said you cut right where.
I said if Florida State played Ohio State right now on a neutral site, who are you picking?
If Florida State and Ohio State were playing a neutral site, I'd say Ohio State 10.5. Yeah,
I was going to say 8.5, 9.5. That's my point. Yeah. So they did get it right. But yeah, Ohio State has an argument too with 1 loss. The problem is their 1 loss came recent. It didn't come early. And when recent, hell, if Georgia's loss would have come in September, I'm not so sure we wouldn't have put him back in. Honest to God. Yet I don't understand that concept. I understand when you lose a starting player like the Florida State did, but why isn't a win in September just as important as a win in November? I've never understood that. It baffles me, but put me on that committee. The 4 best teams aren't in, but the 4 best teams, considering the circumstances, are in, because Georgia's one of the 4 best teams in America. So they did get it right, minus Georgia, because of their loss at the wrong time to Alabama.
Who comes out? Sorry, who comes out? You put Georgia in, you're on the committee. Who comes out, Alabama or Texas?
I think I would have to take Alabama out, which is because Texas beat them handily in their building.
True.
Yet, if Alabama and Texas play each other, how am I going to pick against Nick Saban's Alabama team? Yet Sarkisian's the best play caller in the postseason we got. It makes for great theater, and it sucks for Florida State. And quite frankly, I'm not feeling sorry for Georgia because they got 2 rings the last 2 years, but they are going to play angry in that game against Florida State. You and I both know it.
Yeah. Talking with Sean Salisbury here on the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Sean, how about Sunday? We were waiting for this game. Niners were certainly ready to go after a slow beginning. 6 straight scoring drives. You've been a big fan of what they are and what they can be. Was that that version of the 49ers? Who beats them this year?
In the NFC, nobody does. Yeah. The best team in football going into that was Philadelphia. Now, I don't know if it was the emotion of Buffalo, if it was, going in on the road, a 5-hour trip across the country and you're the favorite against Philadelphia, that was an odd line, but it wasn't obviously enough. Those people in Vegas got a pretty good idea what's going on. Don't they? Just like Green Bay in Kansas City going to Green Bay. But yeah, that 49er team, if that's who we get, good luck in the AFC or NFC beating them. Cowboys are obviously a threat. Detroit can score. And in the AFC, we know that Mahomes' team will hang around. Baltimore will hang around. To me, what I saw on Sunday was what I felt the whole year, that the 49ers can make a case as the best team in football. And with their quarterback, they went and proved it. He now is the leading candidate for the MVP again. His numbers cannot be denied. It was impressive. They're not that much better than Philadelphia. I assure you, when they play again, Philadelphia is not, they're not losing by that distance. No matter where they play, they can play in the parking lot. But they proved to me that while both rosters are dominant, when the quarterback played a bit better than Jalen Hurts did in that game, obviously, and the 49ers are real, but they're eerily similar when it comes to great players on both sides of the ball, home run hitters, physical, well-coached, nasty, get after, can lose coordinators and still be considered the two best teams in the NFC along with the Cowboys. Yeah, that was impressive. And that's the 49er team that I had going to the Super Bowl this year. And I think they're as dangerous as it gets, and they're playing really good football now.
Last thing, I've been wanting to keep it in our zeitgeist here that Brock Purdy, let's remember, was not pick 199 like Tom Brady. He was literally Mr. Irrelevant. And if Mr. Irrelevant through the years even suits up and plays in a game, that's a miracle. And you just mentioned him as a leading candidate for MVP. Let's say he does win that MVP. Would you say he's right up there with, that second tier of Kurt Warner's got to be the best, right? Because Kurt Warner wasn't drafted, and Kurt Warner won a title, and Kurt Warner's in the Hall of Fame. But Brock Purdy's certainly making a name for himself when it comes to Disney movies.
Oh, there is absolutely no question. Now, if Purdy did this, like these kind of numbers, 6-7 years. Mm-hmm. Now we're in the now you're in the Kurt Warner. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Where he's like got him in a chance all the time. Guys, the only reason, like I've said before, if Brock Purdy would have been drafted 18th, and where Kenny Pickett was for Pittsburgh,
right? If
he'd have been drafted where Pickett was, we would be saying the 49ers, hey, we didn't know if we'd be able to replace Montana and Young, but after this year and a half, wow.
Hey, Sean,
their next guy.
Sorry, but Sean, honestly, if you'd have just flip-flop him and Trey Lance at number 3, right? Same thing.
Yes. Yeah, that's even a better, more recent comparison.
Yeah. They
would be going, if Trey Lance was doing what Brock Purdy is doing, they would be talking about him like they're talking about C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
Here in Houston. It would be off the charts MVP. There's going to be reluctance to give him the award. Listen, how many, if it was a first-round pick making the throws Purdy's making, and he's not making baby throws, his average yards per attempt, but you know what they say? Well, run after the catch. Look how many yards after the catch he's getting. But that ball has to be accurate. It has to be thrown where it's supposed to. It's amazing how many excuses we'll find not to give the last pick of the draft credit, yet the same, just put a different draft wrapper on him, meaning put him in the first round, and people would be going nuts over Brock Purdy. It's quite fascinating to me. By the way, experts do miss when they're drafting these guys because you don't know what they got in their gut. I think we're getting a pretty good idea about Purdy. He's accurate, he throws on time, and he's tough. 49ers got themselves a quarterback. I'm anxious to see how December goes.
That's Sean Salisbury each and every Tuesday. Sean, always appreciate you as we barrel on down to the NFL playoffs, college football bowl games, and so much more. Always a blast talking to you, my brother.
Loved it, guys. Thank you.